Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Politics, people, local, regional, national news. Political Matrix News keeps you informed. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the Political Matrix. Hey, welcome to the Political Matrix blogcast. Rob Milford with you from Orlando. Welcome again to another fun-filled and exciting set of get-togethers, conversations, and sometimes political discuss. Greg Fink is joining us. He is in Gainesville. Scott Miller holding down the western frontier in Pensacola, and joining us, our special guest, Jonathan Cole, a political consultant out of Navarre, also in the Panhandle. I think basically the heartbeat of the Emerald Coast. Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's good.
Going pretty good.
Great.
I like Scott's viewpoint first. Scott, what are you bringing to the table tonight?
Ooh, well, a story out of Georgia where the one of the lawyers involved in Trump's case, who was one of Trump's lawyers, they're attempting to disbar him, essentially for insinuating that there may have been something wrong with the election. And we'll talk about that, but he makes some pretty stunning admissions during the interview. It's not even an interview, during his testimony.
Okay, what stunned me? Come on, impress us.
Well, so they've been since the election, they've been trying to get copies of the digital copies of the ballots and some of the other like note taking things, like the tally sheets at the polls and things like that. And when they finally got the tally sheets in certain precincts, Trump was losing 100-0. So it was literally all Biden, no Trump, which is statistically almost impossible. But I mean,
right.
It would be unusual for it to happen at one, but it happened at several precincts. And the really upsetting part for me was to find out that when they finally got the ballot images and tallied the ballot images instead of the tally sheets, that it was more like 60-40.
Would that have made in those precincts? Would that count have made a difference statewide? Was this just Fulton County or where?
Well, the focus was Fulton County because that's where the case is being tried. But they've been trying to get the ballot images from the entire state. And the worst part is that the governor, contrary to Georgia law, destroyed the actual original ballots. And some of the digital images show evidence of tampering, and some of the ballot images, some of the actual ballots that they do have, were marked instead of with a marker with toner, which means they were run through a copier.
Right. That sounds like another issue that is going on, and it's not really an isolated issue in Georgia. It seems to be going on rampantly across the country, where we have got to find a way to get ahead and get a stricter hold on what's going on in these elections and these election offices, and have a lot more transparency of what's going on. And this guy here, they're trying to disbar him for basically, in his opinion, doing everything he can to uphold the law and to handle the truth on behalf of Trump. I mean, and people all just say, "Oh, this is just a big Trump issue." So no, it's not a big Trump issue. It's a big issue here with lack of transparency in Fulton County and other counties. I mean, we have the same issue here in Alachua County. Here in Gainesville, we're having more issues. We had a city council race here last week where the machine was broken. And they said to go ahead and just stick the ballots in a cardboard box and just do that, and we'll count them later. And this is in 2024. And we also have another election going on where they had the school board election that we had talked about for Newberry a few segments ago. And we had people who are not registered voters allowed to vote, because the only people who are allowed to vote were parents of children and teachers that went to the school. And so therefore, other people who do not have any kids in the school or any teachers or any, I guess, dog in the fight, because property taxes don't really, oh, wait a second, yeah, they do. Property taxes do pay for schools, but they don't matter. And so the only people that really matter are the ones who have kids in the school at that present time. And it wasn't even done through the elections office.
Now, I want
Just
Jonathan to
totally
jump
whacked
in
out.
here. I'll take your side on this. What the heck is going on, buddy?
It's issues, when we've seen them throughout the country. There's in a lot of areas the election process is broken, and it's both sides. So
It is both sides.
it is. Go ahead, Scott.
No, I completely agree. It's not a Trump issue. It's as election professionals, Greg and I, and frankly, I think all of us have been involved in elections. But I know that Greg and I have sat there, at 9 o'clock at night with a candidate winning, only to see a tub full of ballots show up, and all of a sudden the election go the other way. This is not a new thing, and people being willfully blind only so that they can suppress Trump and Trump supporters is they don't understand what they're losing, because by enabling people to do this, creating basically insulating the system so that this can happen is going to have far-reaching effects, not just on Trump voters but on Biden voters, depending on where they are.
It'll come back to bite him in the butt sooner or later. Scott, was there any evidence of one of those trucks dropping off 300 or 400,000 ballots to the counting room in Fulton County? Because that is traditionally the two traditions of elections. Number one, the Democrats always promise that Republicans are going to kill Social Security and throw your grandmother off a cliff. That's number one, guaranteed, no matter what the election is. Am I right, Greg? Am I right? And number two, no matter who
that's
loses,
always true.
it's always
Jonathan,
true.
what do you think?
It's the accusation. It's always the accusation.
We need to ask our Democrat up here. Jonathan's our Democrat here. So what do you think?
Like I said, it's a problem, and you can probably go to every locality in this country and see things that make you scratch your head, whether it's in California or Wyoming or Ohio or wherever, Florida. What Scott was talking about happened smaller scale is James Calkins. Yeah, like a big box full of ballots magically showed up 4 years ago. We're talking about Republicans here in a very Republican county, but flip, the race where what's his face had been ahead for quite a while. Our favorite Jerry Cooey, our perpetual candidate, But I mean, and he, Calkins even bragged about it later, and we've seen similar in other local elections. And then it works into the federal and the statewide elections as well. At what point are we saying, gee, are any of our elections legit?
I don't know.
But then again, how do you fix it?
Yeah, that's what they're doing with the boxes of ballots and such like that. I would, by the way, Scott, all of those ballots that you're talking about in Georgia, were they only marked for the presidential race and everything else down ballot was blank? Do you think that could be the case there?
Well, they didn't talk about it, but this lawyer is also the head of a nonprofit in Georgia called Vote Georgia. So he's been involved in elections and election integrity for a long time. And so, to Jonathan's point, it is a widespread thing. It's regardless of political affiliation. It's something that, and it's not even necessarily the supervisors of elections, because there are ways of gaming the systems that someone even on the inside can look at and say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, to your point a minute ago, Scott, in Florida, it is legal to burn the ballots 30 days after the election. The digital,
that's Florida.
I'm sure, I know. What I'm saying is, I've always had heartburn with that, because
me too.
You put a digital image in a database, and what can happen? And I've had multiple SOEs tell me, "Oh, we've got this fail safe and that." I'm like, no. It's like the guy years ago. What was it? What's that website? SafeLock or whatever. Put his social security number on the side of a truck. Said, you can't hack. And before the day was over, he got hacked 6 times.
I know, right?
The experts are out there, and they're ahead of the curve. Right. I mean, enforcing that is always catching up. So
exactly.
It's again. I like the idea of as old fashioned it is marking it on a piece of paper and stuffing in a box and counting and keeping it for 40, 50 years, whatever.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That'll wrap it up.
Introducing electronics, I see a lot more chances for perfidy.
That's
There's
true.
two
And
kind of
a bunch
encryption in the world: the kind that's been broken and the kind that's about to be broken.
Exactly.
You got it.
Well,
All
I
right, we
think
got
all
a
of them are
break.
flawed.
Wait a minute, Greg. We got to take a break right here, right now. This is the Political Matrix Blogcast.